Hi guys, I know I've just done a video about the whole Lavia situation, 2 videos in one night, but we've had a Paul Joyce article and I just felt like I had to go through it with you all. And I think this article shows what I said in my last video, that the club have known about this decision for a long time. The fact that Joyce has got an article out within 30 minutes of the announcement coming out shows basically that, this decision was made a little bit ago through in the day. So, title of the article is Moses Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, snub Liverpool, leaves them in desperation. Right? So, it goes on to say, let's talk about six, baby. It was in the giddy aftermath of Liverpool's Champions League final triumph over Tottenham in 2019 that Klopp delivered that most famous phrase, having totted up the number of times the club had tasted the success in the competition. The chances are that the Liverpool manager will have trotted the line out once again as he held his daily coaches meeting at the AXA training HQ on Monday, albeit his voice now would be laced with aspiration. Liverpool's season already feels as though it hinges on remedying what was quickly becoming a problem position, with the cutting thrust in Sunday's 1-1 draw away to Chelsea doing nothing to shake the suspicion which first formed when Fabinho and Henderson were allowed to leave to Saudi Arabia. There was a vulnerability in the visiting side at Stamford Bridge that was entirely expected without a specialist defensive midfielder, that all-important number 6 providing a shield and sniffing out danger. The qualities of McAllister, who joined in June, are already apparent, but he was not recruited to play as a single pivot. That same accusation, of course, could also be levelled at Pochettino's side, who were decidedly flimsy in the opening half an hour. Within a few hours of the final whistle, he had a solution in sight, and by Monday morning there was a prospect of not only one arrival but two. The British record of a £115 million deal Chelsea struck with Brighton for Caicedo served as a blow to Liverpool. That Romeo Lavia, Liverpool's original option as a midfield hub in this window, is also now understood to prefer a move to Chelsea, threatens to complicate matters further. So there we go again, like there's no official confirmation to say it's done, it's just basically saying that it's understood that he would prefer to go to Chelsea. Liverpool's bid for Caicedo was a Hail Mary shot. Having originally thought he was unobtainable, they were late to the party. The unplanned exits of Fabinho and Henderson created a gap in Klopp's squad but brought in additional funds, while the failure to strike an agreement with Southampton for Lavia and Chelsea's own inability to initially close a deal for Caicedo presented a window of opportunity. However, from the moment on Friday when it became clear that the player still favoured a move to London, Liverpool expected to miss out. There had been enough encouragement from Caicedo's camp to convince the Anfield club to agree a £111 million deal with Brighton the previous evening, but it became quickly apparent that they had been used. So, I've got to think here, guys, who's getting this out there to Joyce? Who's basically letting him know that Liverpool feel like they've been used to get, this done? Ultimately, their bid succeeded in only focusing the mind of Chelsea owners to land the Brighton at a gigantic profit on a player signed from Independiente for only $4.5 million in 2021. Absolutely phenomenal business by Brighton. What has quickly become more of an issue is what Liverpool do next, especially as it is understood that Lavia is now minded to move to Chelsea as well. There you go again. Not confirmed, just it's understood that Lavia wants to go to Chelsea. Liverpool's stance on the 19-year-old midfielder had initially been to do with seeking value rather than not having the transfer funds available. Hence bids of 38, 41, and a week ago 45 million for a teenager with one season in top flight under his belt. See, that phrase there at the end there shows he's trying to defend the club's decision not to go and bid the 50 million. Like, he's only got one season, so why would we go spend 50 million? I agree, I think 50 million's too much for him, but at the end of the day, if you want the player, you pay the money. You just agreed apparently 60 million today. You could have saved yourself 10 million if you'd just got the deal done a week ago, and you could have played on Sunday. Oh, I don't want to get wound up, guys, sorry. Southampton rebuffed all of these overtures and are entitled to hold out for more, as they feel Lavia is the best young player in the world in his position. The trouble with bidding 111 million for Caicedo and being unable to close the deal means Liverpool's search for value is much harder, especially as every club knows they are desperate to fill a particular position. That's what I mentioned in my last video, guys. Whether the predicament now confronting Liverpool means they would have upped a bid for Lavia is plausible. They have denied an agreement has been struck with Southampton at 60 million, and as it stands, there have been indications from Lavia's representatives that he wants to move to West London. Now, you see, depending on who you believe, which I believe, it came out today on Sky Sports as well, that Liverpool had agreed that move. So is this Liverpool trying to save face to say they didn't do it? It could be that Lavia feels let down by Liverpool's willingness to ditch him last week and go all in for Caicedo. However, the rationale of then joining the team who are signing Caicedo does not appear to make much sense if the development of the player is the priority. Which, to be fair, that's what we heard, didn't it, when we first went in for Lavia. He was deciding where to go to play, depending on how much he was going to play after he played like nearly every game last year for Southampton. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, if they're not playing like one, or if they're not playing more than one deep-lying midfielder who's a defensive player, that is going to hinder the player's ability to play, you would think, wouldn't it, if they're signing Caicedo as well? Then again, the question could simply come down to personal terms, with Chelsea willing to offer a bigger salary, or maybe there's another twist to come, because much over the past week has run ridiculous, which is what I said. I said this in my last video. It's not confirmed yet. Liverpool could potentially still win this, but as it stands right now, it sounds like he's off to Chelsea. Still, if Liverpool's instinct is correct and Chelsea are about to beat them to two targets, then that should unnerve Klopp. That they are in this position in the first place. The season having started with essential work still pending is highly unusual. It is indicative of how the club's decision making, which for so long was a virtue, has become frazzled over the past 12 months in particular. As pointed out previously, the Liverpool of 2017 to 2022 are very different to the club of 22 onwards, not in the least in the behind-the-scenes changes which have led to the once lauded think tank fragmenting and departing. The instability of a third sporting director in just over a year, Schmatke, has arrived after Julian Ward departed 12 months after succeeding Michael Edwards, has conceded with the transfer market exploding for the very position they are needing the most. You got to think as well, like, is there something going on that we don't know? Like, why did Mike Edwards leave? Why did Julian Ward leave? Is this all to do with the club being up for sale? And is that why they couldn't get like one of the prime targets that they went for, and they only could have managed to get Schmatke in on a part-time, not part-time, temporary contract, because they don't know whether they're going to be at the club much longer, and that's why someone who they could have signed didn't want to come in and sign a contract, because who knows if he'd have been in a job if they managed to sell the club to somebody else. They might have wanted to appoint their own person. In the future, Liverpool must still find a way to compete in a world where loopholes, 8-year contracts are becoming the norm. They used to be the smartest in the market, so they should be kicking themselves when Caicedo moves for 115 million or 4.5 million. Last summer, Liverpool were offered Enzo Fernandez, who was at River Plate at the time, and would have cost 15 million. Benfica instead signed the Argentine star and sold him to Chelsea 6 months later for 105 million to begin the cycle of huge midfield transfer fees. Back in the present, Klopp must do something to rectify a design fault, although if he does not have an out-and-out 6 at the present, why play with just one player there when Liverpool are out of possession? Could 4-2-3-1 not provide the stability in the short term? There are players out there. Tyler Adams, for whom Chelsea backed away from a deal last week, has a release clause in his contract, but missed a chunk of Leeds United's relegation season with a hamstring injury. Fulham have João Paulinho, who topped Europe's top 5 leagues for tackles won and duels won last season. The 28-year-old has a different age profile and missed the win over Everton at the weekend with a shoulder injury suffered in pre-season. He would command an enormous fee. There is Crystal Palace's Decore, Andre of Fluminense, Fiorentina's Sofran Amrabat, and many, many more to be found by the amateur scouts on Twitter. Oh, I do like that. I do like that. As to my last video, I said, don't believe anything you hear on Twitter. I like that. I like that one, Paul. I do. And so an exhaustive search for midfielders, which started with failed bid for Aurelien Tchouameni last summer when he joined Real Madrid instead, included Liverpool's retreating from an approach for Jude Bellingham in April before his move to the Bernabeu. Where will it end? No one quite seems to know, and for a club used to being proactive, not reactive, therein lies the problem. And I couldn't have finished that off better than myself. We seem to not know what we're doing at this moment in time, and we need to pull our socks up and get it sorted. I think we sign a player this week, and that's just going off my gut, and that's just going off the fact that we need to sign somebody. If Liverpool don't sign anybody this week, guys, I don't know what to even think. I don't know. There's no way we can go into the end of this transfer window and not signing more players. There's just no way. There's no way we can. And I think in my last video, as I said, there's like 2 weeks and 3 or 4 days left of the window. So there's a big job ahead, guys. But anyway, I've gone through that article with you with Paul Joyce. Let me know what you think down below, guys. I think he's pretty much on the money there. And that's the first time I've said that about Paul Joyce in a long time. So, right, guys, if anything else comes out, I'll catch you in the next video. I'll see you then.